Welcome to the Run Radio podcast. We're talking arthritis, hosted by Run Radio in partnership with the Arthritis Foundation. My guest, Carly Snyder, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you. You are an AF warrior. You're on the board for the Missouri chapter. What's that like for you?
I am, yes. So obviously not being a warrior, while it might sound exciting, it's not something I chose, right? So we are bearing our badges of honor. But yes, I am involved in the Missouri chapter of the Arthritis Foundation and a warrior myself. And for me, it's just about getting involved, right? I mean, for me being diagnosed, I was diagnosed in high school, so 25 plus years ago, and being part of the organization has given me something to control, right?
Yeah.
Something to give back, something to feel like I can do something, right? Where maybe I don't always feel in control of my own, what's going on in here. So that's what it means for me.
That's very true and on point to feel like you are in control of something. I don't know if it resonates with anyone that doesn't have a chronic condition that is just so beyond and out of, I want to say reach, because it's like there's no way to grasp onto it and rein it in. It just does what it wants.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
what was it like for you in high school getting a diagnosis? When did you feel not right, if you will?
Yeah. I was 15, so I was in, I think, my sophomore year of high school, and I just woke up with it was swelling in one joint. So it started for me in my wrist, and I was an athlete. I played a lot of sports in high school, and I just found like it was hard to do things that I used to be able to do. And even just like the tug of gravity and stuff really hurt. And it was a very strange, it was strange, but I just assumed it was an injury, right?
Yeah.
And my parents, ultimately we ended up going to the doctor, and we thought it was going to be, wear a splint or something like that. And they had done x-rays and said it's at the time, one joint, so synovitis. So I wasn't officially diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis until a few months later. Unfortunately for me, over a couple of months, it kind of spread then to pretty much every joint in my body. And so I was, not able to walk or, really care for myself. My family kind of had to step up and help me with basic tasks. So I went from athlete doing everything, not a care in the world, to what in the world is going on. And it took a while to get it under control. And it's a lot of just confusion, and you don't know what's going on and what's going to happen and what are these medications, and
Right.
just so much.
And that's such a transformative time. You're coming into your own, you're with your peers trying to, have a friend group and learn on top of all of that. What was that
Yeah.
like for you too? Were you open with your friends about it?
No, not really.
Yeah.
My close friends knew that I had, health issues kind of thing, or something that kept me from being able to be, play sports, be an athlete, whatever. But for the most part, no. I mean, I mostly just sort of hung with my family, and that was really who knew what everything that was going on. And I had my best friend knew, and that was really kind of it. I honestly didn't talk about having this disease until I was much older. I mean, truly, probably more like closer to 30. Like it probably
Yeah.
took me a good 15 years before I could like confidently say I have arthritis, like out loud, and be like, and it's okay, I'm fine.
Yeah. For I don't know about you, but for me, I think like what you said, it's a confusing time. So you don't
Yeah.
really know what's happening to yourself. And it's kind of hard to want to share that with anyone because you don't understand it yourself. So how can you explain it and hope they'll understand? And
Yes.
when I was really little, I thought, that's an old person thing.
Yeah.
You don't, and so that was kind of terrifying. Did you
Yes.
feel those feels too?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the first rheumatologist office that I went into, the lady said to me when I walked in, I think you're in the wrong place. I was like,
Oh,
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
oh, yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and a lot of the resources that you see, at least before, now I would say it's very different when you Google
yes,
or if you go to the Arthritis Foundation website or whatever, it's very family and children friendly. But, you know, 25 plus years ago, it was not. And
no,
I was like, truly, you really don't understand it. You don't know what's going on in your body. You don't know what your future is. And you see
yeah,
all these photos of people that are have these horrible, joint damage, and you're sort of thinking like, is that going to happen to
yeah.
me? And yeah,
And it's hard to tell. It varies so much from person to person.
yes,
Um, Thankfully, we do have more resources.
yeah,
Thankfully, we have AF warriors and
yeah,
people that are spreading awareness and information and support.
yes,
That's
absolutely.
so important. At what point, what kind of clicked with you where you're like, okay, I'm okay with sharing this now? What was that for you?
I honestly, I think it was acceptance. I think
Okay.
I finally got to the point where I was like, this isn't going away,
Hmm.
and I need to be okay with it. And it doesn't define me. It doesn't, it just it is part of my life. It's part of who I am. It's part of every decision I make.
Hmm.
But that doesn't have to be negative or
No.
bad, right? So I think it just kind of maturity probably played a big
Yeah.
role.
I I think I agree with you on that. I feel like the older I got and maybe the maturity, I felt a little more confident in being okay that I wasn't okay. And I
Yes.
didn't want other kids to hold the shame and embarrassment that I did. So I
Yes.
thought, you know what? I've got to lead by example here and not be so embarrassed by this or afraid to say, yeah, this is what I'm working with here.
Yeah, no, that is huge. That's huge. And, I know we are talking a lot about the Arthritis Foundation and some of the things that I do with them locally in Missouri, but that's one of the main drivers that I've had to getting more involved with the Arthritis Foundation or with a group of, in the community where you can help people. Because, for me, I think there's nothing better than whether it's a parent or a child that when they see me out there just living my life and doing my thing and being an advocate and just being normal, they can
Hmm.
see that maybe I'll be normal too. Maybe I'll be okay too, right? And that's huge. I sat next to last year we took a group of JA families to the Cardinals game, and I sat next to a little boy, and his mom said to him, "Look, she has what you have. Look at her fingers. Like, look, you can see it, but
Yeah.
she's okay. Look, she's fine." And he was got a big smile on his face. And for me, that is my why. It's like just hopefully giving him that tiny little bit of like in his brain, like, okay, I can do this. I'm gonna be fine. She's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a question. It was on the Arthritis Foundation's social media, and it was asking what was your silver lining from your diagnosis? And do you have something, one or two things that you are surprised having learned that you might not have without your diagnosis?
Yeah, I mean, I think just everybody's going through something is certainly something that I've learned.
Yeah.
And, life will teach you that lesson at some point, if, some earlier than later. But that's a big one for me. I think I definitely learned that early on. And then just being humble. I mean, we talk a lot about, you were just talking about accepting your diagnosis and accepting what you're going through and being okay with it. And I think that's a huge thing is, being okay with where you're at in your journey. And not everything is going to be perfect, but you just kind of do the best you can. And I think those are probably my two silver linings.
Let's talk about resources because we were saying how there was next to nothing when we were first diagnosed
Yes.
growing up. And sometimes I feel like that was a little bit of a good thing in a way that I didn't have to think about it much. But now knowing that there are positive groups and messages and information, I do think that's a fantastic space for us to be in now. So, what are
Absolutely.
some of the resources and things people can be coming to the Arthritis Foundation for?
Yeah. No, I agree completely. I mean, I don't think I met another person my age with JA until I was way older. I
Yes,
mean, truly. I
yes,
thought I was the only one forever. Um, but now I have this whole group of people that, I communicate with regularly, and a lot of that is through the Arthritis Foundation. So, they have on their website, just in general, there's tons of content, articles, webinars, podcasts, like videos. You can attend live sessions, you can watch things on demand and kind of consume it at your own need. But they have, even if you're newly diagnosed, they have a hotline you can call, and somebody can help you, talk you through what it is you might be looking for, what question you might have. But they have, whether maybe you're further down the journey and it's things like, what about my diet? What about exercise? What about relationships? And there's tons of resources there too. So I think, that stuff is available kind of on demand on their website, but locally is where we can really get into the community and start, bringing people together. So we have um, events. We host, the Walk to Cure Arthritis every year. We host a Jingle Bell Run, which is, getting people kind of out together. It's, short distances. You can do, a mile walk at your own pace, but part of the main benefit is just everybody there is impacted by this disease in one way, shape, or form, right? You might not be the patient, but there's caregivers, and there's the network is, it takes a village, right? The
yes.
network is big when it comes to people that are involved. So, you have these events where we come together. There's sponsors. So there's people who are there to talk to you about whether it's a local medical provider. Maybe you want to look into different kinds of treatment, meaning, chiropractor, massage. There's all these sort of other things that a lot of people are thinking about these days. And that's fine.
Hmm.
That's up to you. But, it brings those people together. And, the Arthritis Foundation has all kinds of resources that you can kind of take advantage of at the local level too.
Fantastic. What's it like being on the board for something so impactful?
For me, I would say it's overwhelming almost at times, because for me, it is very much it's my life. I mean,
Hmm.
I've lived with this for more than not. So,
Yeah.
being able to come together with a group of people that are of all walks of life. We have doctors on our board, and we have people just like me who are, whether it's a parent or patient or whatever, and we come together to try and get as many people aware of the resources we have locally, and raise funds when we can. And it's very impactful, I would say, to be part of that.
When you know, you're an AF warrior. When you connect with other warriors, what surprises you about the commonality of your stories?
They are very similar. They really are. They really are. It sort of starts, whether it starts fast or slow, one joint or 10, it's that whole process of what is going on? What is this? How can I get in to see a doctor? What about my insurance? There's tons of these ups and downs that truly everybody has those same kinds of questions. And like you said earlier, it's unpredictable. That's
Mhm.
another thing. I'm fine one day, and I think I did the exact same thing the next day, and now I have a flare. It's like, well, what did I
Yeah.
do?
Right.
I don't know. Um, but just, switching medications or finding a doctor, or, I think everybody kind of shares those struggles. And I think everybody has that feeling of, a little bit of fear in the back of
Mhm.
their mind. What's going to happen hopefully I stay stable, but you never know. And um, everybody, I think for the most part, people are all that I've met trying to be like better themselves. They're
Yeah.
trying to, how do I live with this in the best way that I can, right?
Yeah.
It's like a general feeling of, like you said, the silver linings. I do think it's not doom and gloom. It's people who are very, how are we going to be better? And I
Yeah.
love that.
And medicine is changing. I know sometimes not fast enough for us, but overall, someone getting diagnosed today has
Oh yeah,
so much more opportunities and chances for less damage than we did. And I'm so
absolutely.
thankful for that. Um,
Absolutely.
what would you say to someone who is just diagnosed? What would you tell that person?
I would tell them just keep your chin up and you're going to be fine. There will be ups and downs. There will definitely be ups and downs in your journey, but overall, you will be fine. You will live a very normal life. Just keep up with the research. I mean, I think I like to keep tabs on what's going on. And again, that's one of the things I love about being on the board. There's doctors there that I can, I'm not gonna, they're not gonna like see me like I'm a patient, but they'll talk about
Yeah.
clinical trials or things that are going on. And there's some great things happening just even in Missouri that you wouldn't know about if you weren't engaged. And so I don't know. I would just say, keep positive. It makes a big difference. It does.
I think something very important for rheumatoid arthritis patients is having, let's see, I have stuff around that I can poke, pull. I usually have a letter opener or
Like,
scissors. What's something you keep around constantly within reach to help you get stuff done?
yeah, I know. Well, I know. I have little like exercise ball things just because my hands are the worst. So I like
Okay.
to try and like keep them, if I can, keep them active. But I usually am just kind of like I fidget a little, so I play with like pens and things like that
Keep
around
things
my desk.
moving.
Keep things
When
moving.
when it comes to exercise, I feel like that's something too that it's super important. You get stiff and lock up if you don't do it. If you do too much, you get a flare. So
Yep.
talk about how you found a balance with exercise and lifestyle.
Yep. I think for me, like right now, I'm in a place where I work out. I go to the gym a few times a week and I'm able to do that. But I haven't always been like that, and you just have to really listen to your body. And as I don't want to say as silly as that sounds, but it is true. I mean, you will know when you are doing too much, whether you're going to listen to it, that's
Yeah.
another story. But even when you're out in the yard doing work or, walking around the neighborhood, you really have to listen to your body. And sometimes I think it's just modifying, I swimming and there's other activities that are really like low impact on your joints, but they get you moving and they keep you moving. So I think it's finding the right things for you too.
And even dropping the comparisons, not only from one arthritis person to another, but from ourselves from yesterday to
Yeah,
2 weeks ago sometimes
true. Truth. Yeah,
can make a big
absolutely.
difference. What are
Absolutely.
other things that you feel like the arthritis has offered you that's made your life better dealing with this lifestyle?
The local foundation. Yeah. So one of the other things that's pretty unique, well, pretty cool, I think, is we also have these, we call them connect groups, and we
Yes.
have one in St. Louis. I'm the lead facilitator for that, and it's an opportunity for local folks to come together and do activities together, and they're often educational based. So we'll do whatever it may be, yoga, or we'll talk about, pain management or meditation or diet or whatever the topic may be. We'll have a subject matter expert come in and talk. And then it's just a chance to network, if you will, kind of get to know other local people, individuals, families, whatever it may be. So that's something I think has been really, really nice. It's a local resource that you can, now I have connections with people that I'll go to lunch with, or I'll text them when I'm having a day where I don't feel great or vice versa. And it's just the opportunity to almost like help keep each other up when you need it, right? Somebody who gets what you're going through. So that's something that I think it has been a really neat resource that the foundation offered. They started the Connect groups pretty heavily, maybe during COVID. Like it's not been too long. They're relatively new.
Do you notice that a lot of patients tend to withdraw when they need to be connecting more? Or are they getting better at saying, no, 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 I've got to come out of my shell and do things?
I think I think it probably varies. But I do, when you were saying it, I was kind of shaking my head thinking, yeah, that probably does happen for people. Um, I think it's been good with having the virtual aspect of stuff because I think you don't have to leave your house. If you're not feeling
Yeah,
great, that makes a huge difference. You can watch a video online or you can attend a webinar and still feel like you're seeing people. Technology's come a long way. So I think that that's good. Um, but I think people still feel chronic disease is hard, right? And that is still a thing. And I think people, I know they're trying to study that a bit more, the connection between kind of like what happens inside of your brain when you have this chronic illness. But I think we're trying to keep, have outlets for people and, hopefully they can reach out and be part of some of these events and such, and hopefully it will help them to feel a little more positive when something kind of goes on the downswing. But I think too, I mean, one thing I guess we didn't talk about yet is like your community, your tribe, your
yes,
your group, right? And that's a huge piece of it, surrounding yourself with people that can kind of tell, or you can give them a little signal that like it's not a great day, and they know how to help leave you alone, but also help you kind of get back up. That is
that
huge.
is huge. How do people get in touch with that? Is there a specific place where you could get them right to it from the website, or is a search the easiest place to do it once they get on the
The Connect
website?
groups, I'm just looking over here because I'm looking at my other
Sure.
screen. The Connect groups is connectgroup.arthritis.org.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
What else can you tell us? What have we not talked about that people need to know when it comes to navigating lifestyle and arthritis?
It's just sort of remember your why and find where, like, what works for you. What works for you is not going to work for other people, but, what worked for me is volunteering. And as I started volunteering with the Arthritis Foundation, I mean, I just started doing the walk when I was in high school. And I found that again, I could look around and be like, okay, I guess maybe I'm not alone. And I wasn't comfortable talking to people yet or talking about it yet. But over time, for me, that's something that worked. I started getting more involved and I started gaining more confidence and feeling better about helping other people in the same situations. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just kind of, do what works for you and try to keep positive, try to keep a smile on your face.
Sounds great. One more thing, the direct URL where people can go in the Missouri area to find out more about Connect groups, AF Warrior, if they want to participate in one of the events coming up.
Yep. So if you just go to the arthritisfoundation.org, you can go in here and like click your local area, and then you can find it'll take you based on your zip code. It'll take you, you can go, select Missouri, and it'll show you our executive director's name, contact information, list of our events, all that kind of stuff is there. It's very easy, one stop. And I know Dolores personally, she's our executive director. She would be happy to talk to anybody who has any questions or wants to get involved, whether it's volunteering or just needing resources or having questions. That's what we're here for. That's what we love to do, is help people. And at the board level, I can tell you that's stuff we talk about. If there's stuff that comes up, and she will connect us and connect that person with somebody who can who can be a good peer mentor, peer support.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for reminding us that we can just ask, just start the
Just
conversation.
just ask. Exactly.
Just ask. Thank you so much, Carly Snyder with
Yeah.
the Arthritis Foundation of Missouri. Be sure you keep up with our conversations. This is going to be a regular occurrence. You can follow along at runradio.net. Subscribe and follow at Run Radio Station. Until next time, thank you so much.
Thank you.